guys, I'm glad to see you're back. I've been boiling down this maple syrup now for about the last week. As you can see behind me in the tank, the levels have dropped in the tank right down to this band right here. I've boiled roughly 120 gallons so far. Anyway, it's getting to be time to take this pan inside and finish on the stove. I'm going to take this inside and bring you guys back when I get it set up on the stove. Stay with me. Alright, I'm going to turn that off for just a minute, guys. Now here's what I'm going to do. I have my thermometer in the maple syrup. Once it reaches 214 degrees, I take my canning jars that I'm going to be using and I put them in the oven. I preheat the oven to 230 to 240 degrees. So let me check, see what my thermometer is reading. The thermometer is reading 214 degrees right now, so I gotta get these canning jars put in the oven. Okay, the reason that I put the canning jars in the oven is because I'm putting 220 degree maple syrup into cold jars. The jars are very possibly going to break, and that would just therefore waste all my hard work and time of making the maple syrup. So the jars go in the oven to preheat the jars. Now I'm also going to be putting the lids or the seals in a pot of water and bringing that up to a simmer so that they seal well on top of the jars. This sap has to reach 220 degrees to be maple syrup, so I'm going to be having to keep a close eye on this. Now, if you're making maple syrup, you want to make sure you keep a close eye not to go over 220 degrees, because once it reaches that temperature, it starts to foam up and it'll foam over the edges of your pan or pot or dish or whatever you're using to heat the maple syrup. So just remember that, keep a close eye. I'm going to get these lids going. Now, I have 7 jars in the oven, so I'm going to take 7 seals and put 7 seals in this pot to warm up. One important thing to remember, guys, when you're boiling your maple sap inside, you want to make sure that you have your exhaust fan on for your stove and that it vents outside. It creates a lot of humidity, and that humidity is rich with sugars that are being boiled off. It'll make your microwave and your cabinets all sticky, and you'll end up having to wash it all down. I just turned this off so that you guys could hear me as I'm talking to you as I'm making the video. So make sure you keep your exhaust fans on. Just one side note, you want to make sure that you have a canning funnel that has a wider opening on the bottom. It makes it a lot easier to ladle your maple syrup into the jars and not get it all over the jars and make a mess. You worked hard to make that maple syrup. You want to make sure you don't waste any. Anyway, I take my funnel and I use this funnel also as a filter, my final filter. So I'm going to take a piece of cheesecloth, I'm going to lay it across the top of the funnel, so when I ladle the maple syrup in, it's going to be the final filter here. Now, to make it so that this cheesecloth doesn't go and fall through the funnel and into my maple syrup, I'm going to take this, I'm going to lay it across the top, like so, and then I'm going to pull all the corners to the bottom, so they're all collected down here at the bottom, like that, and then I'm going to take a rubber band and rubber band all the corners to the bottom of the funnel, like that. Now I'm going to take it and push in just a little bit, pull just a little bit of it back in, so that way there I have the maximum surface area for filtering my maple syrup as it goes into the canning jars. When this reaches 220 degrees, I'm going to bring you guys back and show you how I can the maple syrup. Stay with me. Right now our sap is at 218.5 degrees. As you can see how this is starting to foam. Now just imagine as it hits that crucial point, this pan boiling over and onto the stove. It's not a good thing. So that's what I was talking about when I was saying it foams. I'm going to get another temperature reading right now. It jumps from 216 to 220 real quick. Okay, we're at 220. We are now at 220 degrees. I'm going to take my canning jars out of the oven. I'm going to set them right here. I'm going to turn this down so So the front burner's on, and the back burner's on low, just to keep it warm. Get those jars out. Okay, now I'm going to elevate the back of this pan so that all the sap flows to the front, make it easier to work. I'm going to use a cooling rack to do that. I'm going to then take this and put it on the back burner. I'm now going to turn the back burner off. Okay, get my funnel that we prepared with a filter on it. Set that on top. And I have my ladle. Now when I fill these, I'm going to fill them just to the bottom of the neck. So I have just a little bit of head space in here. Take that off, go to the next jar. Take my pre-warmed seal, put it on there. Take my ring, thread it on, and we have a jar of fresh maple syrup. I'm going to set this on a towel to cool. You want to make sure you put it on a towel so it's on a cool, on a insulated surface so that it doesn't cool the bottom of the jar too fast and break the jar. I go on to my next. Well guys, even with all the filtering that I had done previously on this pan of maple syrup, the last filter that I made on my funnel here, as you can see, collected a lot of stuff that I don't want in my maple syrup. Yeah, so anyway, that was my last jar. I'm all done with the maple syrup for now. All I have left to do is clean up my mess and of course, enjoy the fruit of my labor. Hey, I've had fun talking to you guys. Thanks for joining me. I hope to see you again soon in my next episode. Good stuff. You're still here? Hey, if you want some maple syrup, you gotta make your own. I already showed you how.